Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about why we don't make excuses for our missed lifts. We use them as a learning tool. We use them to go to school. And missed lifts could be any number of things. It could be usually your one rep maxes, but it could be a failed rep on a planned progression. And a lot of times people say, well, I just missed that because of fatigue, because I was tired, right? Which might be the case. They'll say things like, well, I would have got that had I gotten tighter or gripped the bar a little bit better. And realistically, that falls into the area of excuses unless you're using it as a learning tool. Because realistically, if we miss a lift, which is right here, I probably cut depth about an inch higher than I wanted to on this chain squat PR, right? We have to look at that and be objective and say, yeah, I should have sank it deeper. Because would we count that as a missed lift? I mean, the lift is good in terms of completing it, but did it get my target range of motion? Probably not. So what is it that we say with a lot of these things, like these missed deadlifts? I would have got these if I was stronger. Now, that's a better explanation. It's not an excuse. It's accounting for it. Why did I miss these lifts? Why did I miss this deadlift right here? This conventional deadlift on a deficit, 600 pounds, because I wasn't strong enough. So, but you broke it off the floor. Yeah, that's good. That's a good start. It's definitely good. I mean, a PR attempt, breaking it off the floor, that's a good start. I wasn't strong enough to finish it. Okay, that's what we have to step back and do. You have to learn to emotionally detach, and that's hard to do with our lifts. If we train hard, we put a lot of our identity, our ego, our emotion, everything else goes into these lifts. But that's not productive because we should always be getting better. Same thing, that 605 conventional there that I missed. And that was back when I was working with my grip work earlier on. I knew that my grip was giving out. The grip was giving out on the ramp up to it. It was a little slippery. My grip was not strong enough. My grip wasn't strong enough. And that reflected in me, my brain knowing I couldn't lift that weight when I went to pull it. But at the end of the day, we look at these things and say, I missed this lift because I wasn't strong enough to make it. I wasn't strong enough. And while people don't like to admit that, that is in and of itself a very empowering statement. Because if you're not strong enough to lift something, you can find a solution. This is like I and every coach in the entire world says. Everybody, okay, let's say this again, everybody can get stronger than you are right now. Doesn't mean it's going to be 50 pounds stronger. Maybe you won't. But you can always get stronger. And by stating I was not strong enough to lift that weight, we can go to school. Because the worst excuse, well, I was under recovered, didn't get a good night's sleep. Well, here's the point. Had you been stronger, you would have got it even without recovery. Right? If you were stronger, you would have got it. Fatigue only takes part of your strength. If you had surplus strength, you would have gotten it anyways, wouldn't you? So this is where we go to school, and we have to be honest with ourselves. We've got to be honest with ourselves. And I deal with this with clients. It's like I have a client who, for example, missed a sumo deadlift. And he missed a weight that was something like 10 pounds lighter than his last max. And I had to look at it as a coach and tell him, I can tell you why you missed that. You've been half-assing your glute training. Pardon the pun. And he has been. Because again, he's been selecting his weights, someone on a conjugate type system for his supplemental work. Well, we knew he had a glute weakness. I assigned him hip thrusts. He has not been training them hard. He thought he was training them hard. Till we looked at what weight he was using relative to his strength, and I'm like, well, what are you doing? You need to have another 100 pounds on the bar and be working on adding another 50 to that. That was your main supplemental lift for your sumo deadlift. You haven't been training it very hard. Therefore, your sumo deadlift got weaker. Okay? We've got to be honest with ourselves. Why are we missing these lifts? Same with me. I had to be honest with that. This missed 605. Why? Because my grip is too weak for one. Grip is too weak. Because realistically, when I just pulled 600 off of a 1-inch deficit and at least broke it off the floor, this should have been easy. Now, granted, they were 8 days apart with a bunch of grip training, those two lifts. The grip training is helping. No, you've got to look at that and be objective and say, I missed that 605 because my grip needs more work. I have not put in the work to reach the strength level that I need to do that. And in this case, it was probably grip. Until we start the grip and then see if I miss it again due to another muscle. And if I miss it due to another muscle, we have to look at it and say, you know what? I didn't get that. I didn't get that because my erectors aren't strong enough. I need to put in more work for my erectors. Right, I need to put another 5 pounds, 10 pounds on my supplemental work for my erectors. That's what I need to do and work with it. Put in the training. Put in the training. Same thing, we get over to that squat. Why couldn't I do that? Why did I miss that depth? Well, because I've got a lot of chain weight on there. And my brain knows I'm not strong enough to squat that much weight sitting on my back. And your brain goes into freak out mode. And you'll miss depth with chains all the time. That will happen. Especially when you're dealing with a weight to where for the top half of the movement, you're above your 1 rep max. Your brain, just like when you put too much weight on the bar to squat it, you'll short stroke your depth all the time if you're not using a box, if the weight's too heavy. Because your brain knows that weight's too heavy and it will stop you from dropping down. So what's the solution? Is it to sink it deeper? Well, yeah. But it's also, is that the only thing? Is that purely technical? Or is it that my brain knows I need to get stronger? Probably get my hips stronger. Get all my support musculature stronger so that my brain feels comfortable with that much weight sitting on me. In addition to the fact that I need stronger hips and stronger glutes and the muscles that we know we really need to build up to get a good squat. And yes, the squat is hip dominant. For the majority of you out there, if you're doing adequate training, your quads are probably not the weak link in your squat. I'm not saying you don't need more quads. But there's oftentimes other factors at play. There's oftentimes other factors in play. But a good, strong squat is going to be hip dominant. A quad dominant squat for the majority of you is never going to be the strongest it could possibly be. You'll be able to squat more weight if you go to a less quad dominant form of squatting, even if your quad's your weak link. But I digress back to the point. In that case, you're not strong enough to squat the weight because you don't know how to squat. You don't know how to squat. But we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to stop making excuses when we miss a lift. And it's the same thing for your supplemental work. Well, I would have got that 10 rep set if I wasn't so fatigued. Well, no, you just weren't strong enough to lift it because you haven't built the muscle mass. You haven't built the muscle mass to complete that 3 sets of 10 with that weight. If you had more muscle, i.e. if you were stronger, you would have got it. And like I said, that's hard to do. It's hard to do. It's hard to not make excuses for these things. But we have to. We have to if we want to be our best. We have to if we want to improve. We have to be objective. And again, I'm not preaching to you guys as if I'm always objective with it, because I'm human. I'm a flawed human being with an ego just like everybody else. So I'm guilty of the same thing. But we have to unlearn that. we have to stop making excuses for missed lifts, and we have to understand that we have to get stronger, and we have to figure out how we're going to get stronger. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.